you might like to just sit something like this on the edge of a chair, on the edge of your settee, or you can sit down on the floor. I'm going to sit down on the floor because I think it's better, I fit better into the picture. So I'm going to kneel. I've used a block to kneel on. You could kneel on some cushions, you can sit cross-legged. The main issue is that you are comfortable. So do what you need to do so you can sit up, upright, comfortable, but at ease. And I've got a little toy to show you today, which I call the breathing ball. I don't know what it's really called, but I call this the breathing ball. So I'd like to begin just breathing together, really simple. Some slow breaths in and out. So we're going to inhale and exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, and so on. A few more. Slow and steady. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, and now relax and let your breath settle back into whatever normal, natural pattern it wants to. So, and after that little period of more regulated, controlled breathing, you might find that your breath goes kind of crazy. You might need some deep breaths, you might be gasping for air a little bit, or there might be less of a response. So with breathing, there's always the possibility of doing stuff with our breath, and there's the possibility of just being breathed, letting the breath take care of itself. And we'll be working a little bit with both of those different ways of experiencing our breathing. So the breathing ball I like because it gives us an image. We can work with this image when our lungs are filling. Our lungs aren't this shape at all. For a start, there's 2 of them. But we can imagine that our lungs can fill like a big ball like this, expanding in 360 degrees. So I wanted to show you that so you've got that image in your mind, and we'll be coming back to that. I know a lot of you were quite excited about the prospect of lying down, so that's where we're heading next. So I'd like you to lie down on your back, and you can put something behind your head. I've got a pillow here I'm going to put behind my head. And if you happen to have something that you could put on your tummy, like, I'm going to get something funny. I have a rubber duck, so I'm going to use a rubber duck because you'll be able to see it. I was about to use my eye pillow, but you won't be able to see that very well. So something, just something silly, just a rubber duck, an eye pillow, I don't know, an item of clothing, a sock, something like that. And lie down on your back, bend your knees, plant your feet on the floor, and put your item just somewhere over your belly button. You can rest your hands down by your sides or on your lower belly. And I'd like for you to do a slow abdominal breath. So what I mean by that is, can you make your rubber ducky or whatever you got on your tummy, can you make it go up in the air? as you breathe in, and then let it go down as you breathe out. So we're going to do a few deep breaths like that, right the way down into the bottom of the lungs. You can inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and continue like that. Or just one deep breath and then a little rest, normal breathing. With the emphasis of inviting the breath right down to the very bottom of the lungs. So as to have an impact on your abdomen. So just one more time. And then be at ease. So let your breath take care of itself. Normal, natural breath. So some of us always breathe like that, always breathe with a deep abdominal breathing. And some of us might never breathe like that, and that might have felt like a difficult exercise. As we go through this session, what you might find is some of the practices feel very easy and others feel more difficult. So next we're going to lie on our side. So if you roll over onto one side, put my ducky to one side. You might need more padding for your head lying on your side. You're going to get another pillow. Have your knees together, knees bent and together. Make yourself comfortable. So lying on one side, and let your top arm float upwards. So reach your top arm up into the air. And see if you can find the place where this arm can balance almost with no effort at all. It's quite interesting. It's like if it's too far forward, it will feel very heavy. If it's too far back, it will feel a bit of a stretch. And there's a place where you might find you can almost just let it float quite passively. You can circle your wrist and wiggle your fingers. If you can't find that place, just leave your hand resting on your hip or up here on the side of the chest underneath the armpit. Because that's where we're going to be putting our attention next. So with the arm out of the way, floating up like that, see if you can feel this space here under the armpit. And invite your breath there. As you inhale, you might slightly slide your fingers a bit further up towards the ceiling. And see if you can leave your hand up, reaching up as you exhale. So you're inviting your breath now into the side rib space. Nice deep breaths. One more time. And then rest your fingertips on the top of your shoulder and make some little circles with your elbow. And this now we're just going to do normal breathing. It's a little exercise to help to mobilize the shoulder, ease any stiffness, tightness or tension that there might be in that space. So we're going to go round and round with the breath. Maybe you can go halfway with your inhale, halfway with your exhale. Little shoulder circle. And continue just like that Or if it feels like it would be a nice thing to do, you can let your fingers be free and make this a much, much bigger circle with your whole arm. Halfway round as you breathe in. And halfway round as you breathe out. And notice how it's just my arm that's moving. So resist any temptation to roll backwards and lie on your back. So keep your knees together, stay firmly lying on your side, and just let the arm move through its comfortable range of motion. So it might feel like it gets a little bit stuck, especially around this area here. That's okay. You just do what you can do. What I'm hoping you'll find is as we go round, each and every time we go around, maybe you find you've got a little bit more space. If it feels like too much pressure, put your fingertips back on your shoulder and work with these little elbow circles. And if you were very happy just resting and floating, leave your arm floaty and let your fingers and wrists circle. Really simple like that. So we've got options, big stretchy circles or soft floaty fingers. Either way, it's the underside of the body now that's nice and heavy and grounded and rooted. So the top side of the body can be very spacious and open and free and light. And you can invite your inhale to really find space in that top side, in that top lung. And in a moment, when you feel like it's just the right time for you, we're going to pause, and you find just the right place to pause. So it might be with your arm floating up. It could be with your arm reached up over your head. It works best with your hand just resting down on your hip, but pausing, not moving, just being, just breathing. And enjoy a slow breath in. And a slow breath out. And stay a little while in your chosen position. If you can get your arm above your head like I have now, that's going to give you lots of space for that top side lung. That's a bit awkward. This is maybe second best. If both of those options are awkward, this is fine. The emphasis is to breathe into this nice, soft, spacious top side. And then we're going to roll back over onto our backs. So if you come back into your semi-supine position, so lying on your back, both knees bent, you can put your hands again on your belly. Close your eyes and pay attention to the sensations across your upper back and in your shoulders. See if you can feel any difference. Left side and right side and left side. And then we're going to roll over onto the other side and do those little practices to the other side. So all you need to do is roll over to your other side. Because I don't really want to turn away from you, I'm actually going to sit up, put my cushion at the other end of my mat, and do the other side that way. All you have to do is roll onto your other side. And you know what we're going to be doing, so it doesn't matter if you can't see me. You can just listen. Make sure you're comfortable. Your other side, plenty of padding for your head, knees together. And first off, just see if you can find that very soft, floaty position for your top arm, where you're circling your wrist, wiggling your fingers, and you're letting the underside of your body start to feel very heavy and grounded and rested, and the top side of the body feel more spacious, floaty, light. It's like when you have a sponge that you've left by the side of the bath, and it might look like it's dry on the top, but in fact all the water has just sunk down to the bottom, and underneath it's quite heavy and soggy. Something a bit like that. So the underside of your body is heavy and soggy, but the top side of the body is light and spacious. Now you can breathe into that light, spacious feeling under the armpit and the top side lung. Maybe you have your hand like this if floating isn't good. And then we're going to mobilize the shoulder. So if you bring your fingertips onto the top of your shoulder and you're making little elbow circles. It's just normal, natural breathing here. Circling the elbow around and around, mobilizing the shoulder, your natural range of movement. Finding a movement that's comfortable and accessible for your body today. See if you can coordinate it with your breathing, halfway with your inhale, halfway with your exhale. And continuing just like that, or if it would feel good to free your hands and make this circle with your whole arm, then you can do so. And if for you, in fact, less movement feels better, you can just return to that floaty position where your top arm floats up, maybe gently wiggling your fingers and circling your wrist, very soft. So if you're making a circular movement, see if you can get the movement and the breath coordinated, halfway with the inhalation, halfway with the exhalation. And then we're going to pause, ideally in a position that you feel can really open that top side lung. So if it's possible for you to bring your arm up above your head so your inner arm's near your ear, that might work. If that's a bit too much of a stretch, then maybe just letting the hand float up towards the ceiling, or even resting the hand on the hip or the hand on the waist or a bit further up is going to work. So you've got this top side of the body is nice and open and spacious, and we're going to breathe deeply into that top side lung. So you're going to have a slow breath in and slow breath out. Slow breath in, slow breath out. So all that softening and wiggling and mobilizing was like you were opening up this space, clearing it out, getting it ready. And then you say to your breath, okay, you're welcome, come on in. So just one more deep breath here. And you can rest your arm back down onto your side. And we're going to roll again back over onto our backs. So if you roll onto your back, and this time, take your cushions or anything that you've got underneath your head and just slide those away. If you need a little bit of something under your head, you could leave that, but we're going to be lifting the hips and coming into a little bit of a back bend, and we don't want to crush the back of the neck. So as little as possible behind your head, nothing if that's okay for you. Have your knees bent, plant your feet on your mat. Pay attention to the sensations across your upper back. See how that's feeling. Upper back, arms, maybe top portion of the chest. Turn your palms down. And we're going to do another little movement for mobilizing the shoulders and maybe feeling a little bit how the breath can move now in the front portion of the chest. So when you're ready, what I'd like you to do as you're breathing in is bring your arms to vertical. So your fingertips are just pointing up towards the ceiling, like maybe you were going to capture a ball that was falling from the ceiling. So you just bring them up that far, and that's your inhale. Then as you exhale, you take your arms further. So if you can get them all the way to the floor, wonderful. If they don't go all the way to the floor, doesn't matter, as far as they go. You stay in that position for the breath in. And breathing out, you bring your arms all the way back down to rest on the floor by your hips. So I'll talk you through that again another couple of times. Inhale, bring the arms to vertical, like you're catching a ball. Exhale, drop them back towards the floor above your head. Stay there for the inhalation. And exhale, lower your arms all the way back down. You might like to have a little pause, let the breath settle. And when you're ready, begin again. Inhale, arms to vertical, fingers pointing towards the ceiling. Exhale, arms drop back towards the floor above your head. Stay here for the inhale. And exhale, lower the arms. All the way back down. So try that little sequence one more time. And when you finish, turn your palms upward, let your breath settle. Normal, natural breathing. So now we're going to add a movement with the hips. So it looks very similar to what we just did, but with an optional added movement of the hips. If this doesn't feel good in your body, repeat the previous thing, just arms. So this version, you inhale, raise the arms to vertical, and at the same time, pressing into your feet, lift your hips. Hold the pelvis up off the floor as you exhale, take your arms back. Stay in the pose for the inhale. And exhale, lower the arms and lower the hips, both together in one smooth, coordinated movement. Have a little rest, let your breath settle. And then repeat. So we'll do another 4 rounds of this. Inhale, arms and hips. Keep the pelvis lifted as you exhale, drop the arms back. Doesn't matter if they don't touch the floor, just comfortable range of movement. Stay for the inhale. Exhale, lower the arms and lower the hips, both together in one smooth movement. Inhale, arms and hips together. Exhale, take the arms the rest of the way. Inhale, stay. See if you can feel the breath touching just underneath the breastbone, and then exhale, lower the arms, lower the hips, both together. Twice more through. The emphasis on these practices this evening is to experience the breath. So you don't necessarily need to be doing the movement at 100% of what you can do. Let the breastbone lift towards the chin at the top of the inhalation, and exhale, lower the arms, lower the hips. And be at ease, turn your palms upward. Allow your breath to settle. Normal breathing, natural breathing. If you've got handy a cushion or a yoga block or even just a thick book, pull that in and slide it underneath your hips. So we're going to now do a supported version of that little bridge pose. So we're going to put a prop, a cushion, a book, a block, whatever you've got handy under the pelvis. Take your arms out at shoulder height, or if it's accessible to you, you can reach them up above your head. We're just going to stay for a few deep breaths in this supported version of that little backward bend. So you can close your eyes, align your chin with your breastbone, so head at the center. And be aware of the spaces underneath your armpits, so the sides of the chest. And it's like as you invite your breath in, you're making a widthways breath, like you're trying to make your chest wider. Slowly in and slowly out. So we've opened up these spaces, we've cleared them out, we've made them appealing. And now we're saying to our breath, how about both sides together, left and right, right and left, widthways breath. And you might notice as you do this breathing that there's less happening down in the belly, which is okay. So you can think of the abdominal breath as being like taking the breath down into the basement of the lungs. But now with this widthways breath, it's like we've opened up the east wing and the west wing. Big spaces in the side lungs. And there's also this rather lovely kind of front balcony just behind the breastbone. And you may be able to invite your breath to move there as well. So staying for just one more deep breath in and out here. And then let your breath settle back to a more normal, natural pattern. Take your pillow, block, book, cushion, whatever it is you've got there, back out from underneath your pelvis. And carefully roll over onto one side. And make your way up to sitting or kneeling. So if kneeling is accessible to you, that's going to be the best. All fours. If kneeling isn't accessible to you, you might rather do a version of this standing, where you put your hands against the wall. So you can just imagine that my yoga mat's a wall and you'll see what we're going to do. You'd be standing or kneeling on all fours like this. We're going to mobilize the spine now so that you can make the back of your body very long and open with the chin down and the tail down. And you can release that and come back more to a flat back position. So we're not going to overemphasize this part of the movement, making the spine concave. We're going to emphasize this part of the movement, making the spine convex, opening the back of the body. Back down to a more of a flat back position. And see if you can inhale as you round your back. And exhale as you bring it back to flat. So the inhale as you round your back, and exhale as you bring it back to flat. Again, just 50 to 60% of what's possible movement-wise is enough. So the emphasis here is on opening the back surface of the body and inviting the breath into that space, in the upper back between the shoulder blades. And what you might like to do is come into this nice round spine shape and stay. So you need to push the floor a little bit with your hands, or push the wall if you're doing this against the wall. Tuck your chin down, feel the upper back wide and open. And stay. A few deep breaths here. Breathing into the skin on the upper back. If holding this position static is awkward, just keep it moving. And if you're comfortable with child's pose, another option would be to come into child's pose. And enjoy some deep breaths there in child's pose. I'm going to show you now a little supported child's pose with my chair. You can do this next to your sofa, if you've got a sofa. So I'm kneeling on the floor in front of the chair, and then I can lean forward over the seat of the chair. And that can be quite a nice alternative to this child's pose. So child's pose, supported child's pose, or a nice round back on all fours. And we're breathing into the back of the lungs. And it turns out there's like a whole, a whole other building around the back, a whole load of space around the back that maybe we're not always thinking about or using. One more deep breath there. And then come into a sitting or kneeling position and get ready to set up your props for a supported relaxation pose. So this evening, or this practice, we're going to set up a reclining position to a greater or a lesser extent, and then put our feet either just straight out in front of us on the floor, or with a bolster or a rolled blanket here behind the knees for a bit of support. Or if you have something you can put your feet up on, in some ways this, when you're at home, is actually the most accessible thing for leg support. So I'm going to show you with my feet up on the seat of the chair, but if you've got a bolster or a rolled blanket, or you don't need anything for your legs, all is well. Focusing now on support for the upper body. What I'd like to propose is that you fold a blanket long and thin. I'm going to go with that. So it's thinner than your body, thinner than your back, thinner than your front. And it's going to go down on the floor or on the middle of your mat for you to lie back on. And what I suggest you do is, according to how many blankets you've got, you build this up. So I've got loads. I'm going to put a few. Ideally similar shape. And you don't put them all one on top of the other. You build them up like a little flight of stairs. So if you've only got one is great. If you've got two, even better. And if you have copious blankets, you can just keep going and build yourself this lovely reclining position. if you're actively experiencing breathing difficulties, then actually propping yourself up in this way, I think will be better, will be more comfortable for you. I'm going to go for one more since I've got it. You just keep adding. So you've got a little flight of stairs of blankets. As I said, if you've only got one available, that's going to be great. So whatever you've got, build it up. If you've got more, you can keep on building it up till you've got this nice slope. So the next trick is getting the correct ratio between the blankets and the chair. So my chair is movable, but if you're using your sofa, it probably doesn't move very easily. So you might have to experiment with this and come in and out, because you can move your blankets. Let me make a guess. So I'm going to guess if I lie back here, then the chair's going to be in the right place, but it might not be, so then I'll have to move it. So I'm sitting on the floor, putting my feet up on the chair, and I'm going to lie back on my little pile of blankets. And even with all those blankets, I still feel like having a cushion for my head. So it feels a little bit like being in a lovely throne. The legs, we want the hips neutral. So I don't want my knees out to the side like this, or on the floor like this. I want to really intentionally, slightly internally rotate my legs so my kneecaps are pointing up towards the ceiling. So whether they're on the chair or on the floor, have your kneecaps pointing up towards the ceiling. Quite a nice idea, that given that we're going for that slight internal rotation for the hips, is to use something like a blanket to wrap them up. So you can put a blanket over your lower belly and top hips, and you tuck it in under one hip and tuck it in under the other hip. So that feels really nice and tight and secure, and it stops your hips from externally rotating, rolling out, and it can feel quite snug and secure. If you have something that you can use to cover your eyes, that's always a nice idea, and your arms can simply rest down to the sides. The plan is for this to be comfortable, nourishing, supportive, and pleasant. So if you discover that for any reason at all it isn't, my suggestion would be that you abandon ship. So you can come out of this position and set up something that you know is comfortable for you, for resting, for relaxation. And as you start to feel settled, I'd like to suggest that you close your eyes, have a little yawn or a sigh. And then enjoy what I call a slow and centering breath. So slowly breathing in and slowly breathing out with a feeling of letting go and releasing. And then let your breath return to normal. So in this relaxation practice, we're not going to be breathing deeply in and out, in and out, in and out all the time. We're going to be alternating between every now and then, when it feels like the right moment, a slow centering breath. So slowly in and slowly out. And then back to normal breathing. And normal breathing is whatever your body wants to do without your mind getting involved. Normal breathing or natural breathing is just the wonderful miracle that is your body being breathed. So normal breath in, normal breath out, normal breath in, normal breath out. And then again in your own time when it feels just the right time. Slow breath in. And slow breath out. And back to normal breathing. So we're going to use this technique for just revisiting each of the spaces, the breathing spaces that we've been exploring in this session. So starting with the abdominal breath, the basement of the lungs. Maybe you can put your attention somewhere around your navel, around your belly button. You don't need to do anything, just being curious, being interested in the sensations around your belly button. And then when you're ready for your slow centering breath, this time you're going to really invite it down into the bottom of the lungs, deep down into the basement, slowly in. And slowly out. And then normal breathing. 3 or 4 rounds of normal, natural breath. And when you feel ready, again with the tension around the belly button, in the abdomen, breathing deeply down into the bottom of the lungs, slowly in. And slowly out. Then normal breathing. Normal breath in, normal breath out, normal breath in, normal breath out. 3 or 4 times. And then one more time when you're ready, a slow, deep breath down into the bottom of the lungs. So attention around the belly button, down in the abdomen. Invite the breath all the way down, right into the basement of the lungs, the bottom breathing space. Slowly in. And slowly out. And back to normal breathing. Let your breath settle. Easy breathing, natural breathing, effortless breathing. And move your attention up into the spaces around the sides of the chest. The spaces underneath the armpits. The sides of the ribs. You could imagine your ribs almost like a lovely, soft, stretchy wicker basket. And when you're ready, with a slow breath in, inviting the breath to expand the chest widthways so your basket gets wider. Slowly in and slowly out. And then back to normal breathing. 3 or 4 times. Normal breath in, normal breath out. Normal breath in, normal breath out. And then again, when you're ready, this time it's a widthways breath up into the east wing and the west wing. Widthways breath to expand the sides of the chest. Slowly in. And slowly out. And then normal breathing. Natural breathing. Easy, effortless breathing. And one more time in your own time, when it feels just the right time, a widthways breath into the sides of the chest. Slowly in, slowly out. Then normal breath. And place your attention now in the space just beneath your breastbone. So the space behind the breastbone in the center of the chest. And although this is quite a bony, hard area of the body, it's also the place inside the body that we might be able to feel a sense of being heart-warmed. And maybe that can give you a sense of being quite soft there, soft in that chest space, in the space beneath the breastbone. Let there be a feeling of being soft and warm. And then when you're ready, a slow breath all the way in, all the way up, as if into this space, as if into that lovely front balcony of the breastbone. All the way up into the heart, slowly in and slowly out. Back to normal breathing. 3 or 4 normal breaths. And then again with your attention in the heart space, behind the breastbone. Inviting the breath to fill all the way up and into that space, all the way up onto the front balcony, slowly in. And slowly out. Normal breath in, normal breath out. Normal breath in, normal breath out. And then one more time in your own time, a slow, deep breath into the front portion of the chest. Then back to normal breath. Easy breath. And place your attention in the upper back. Be aware of the upper back, the space between the shoulder blades, the back of the neck, the tops of the shoulders. Have a sense of how deep you are from front to back. And invite a slow, deep breath into that lung space there in the upper back. Slowly in and slowly out. And then normal breathing. Slowly in. Slowly out. And normal breath. Let the breath settle. Don't allow yourself to get out of breath. One more time into the back of the lungs, into the back body. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. Normal breath. And now place your attention somewhere right in the very center of the chest. It's like if you were to start at the breastbone and drop in and back behind the breastbone, you might go all the way back and out the other side and through the space between the shoulder blades to the floor. And then you could come back up again to the breastbone and exploring that deep space from front to back. And somewhere in the middle of there, place your attention there, right in the middle, right on the midline of the body, behind the breastbone, in front of the spine. And you might imagine there a little pinpoint of light. And now, when you're ready, with a slow breath in, it's as if this little pinpoint of light could expand in all directions, 360 degrees, a little like my breathing ball. It opens forward, backwards, upwards, downwards, in all directions, the whole lung space filling, slowly out. And that little ball of light gathers back in to just a pinprick point in the very center of the chest. Normal breathing, let the breath settle. Normal breath in, normal breath out, normal breath in, normal breath out. And then when you're ready, again, a 360-degree breath. So from the very center of the chest, as if a little pinpoint of light, slowly expanding with the inhale in all directions, forwards, backwards, upwards, down, widthways. Inhale and exhale, letting it all gather back into the center. And then a normal breath. In your own time, slow breath in, slow breath out. And back to normal breath. And continue on your own for another few minutes. Same pattern. And each time you come to those slow breaths, now let it be a 360-degree breath. Allow the lungs to expand in all directions. So complete your practice now with some normal, natural breathing. Let your breath come and go as it pleases. It could be that having invited the breath to move in all these lovely, delicious spaces, that it continues to circulate there. Just be curious about how it feels, what sensations you're aware of in your body now as you're breathing and resting. And you can gently wriggle your fingers and wriggle your toes. You might like to have a yawn and a stretch. You could roll your head from side to side. Or you could bend up your knees, hug your knees towards your chest, have a little rock on your back. And I'd like to invite you to roll over and then come on back up to sitting. So ideally, if you could come back to the same position you were in right at the beginning of the session. So just finding again your sitting position. And I'd like to invite you to breathe with me again, to breathe with me in the breathing ball. And at the beginning of the session, we did just 6 rounds of even breathing. So inhale and exhale the same length. And we breathed to a count of 4. So I thought we'd see now if we can breathe to a count of 6. If it feels too long, just shorten it for yourself. We're gonna see how it feels now. So comfortable upright position. You can rest your hands down on your lap. You might like to tuck your chin slightly. You can close your eyes if you wish, or you can keep your eyes open and watch my breathing ball moving. So we're gonna breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now relax, let your breath settle again. Back to its normal, natural rhythm. Easy, effortless breathing. Sitting quietly. Turn your palms away from your body. And with an inhalation, bring the palms of your hands together. And exhaling, guide them into the center of your chest. Namaste.